How you guys doing? It is Sunday, August 2nd, 2020. I here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. And for this episode of The Elite, first I'm going to go over the baseball games that happened yesterday, along with the full day of basketball that ESPN had, and the 50-point game last night. Additionally, I'm going to bring up what happened in the FA Championship yesterday that officially ended the season for the Premier League teams, at least until Champions League. And I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek into what happened with hockey yesterday, because there was a lot of sports that happened yesterday. Especially as long as these sports are playing, I think it's going to be fun to at least talk about them and say what's going on. So first, I'm going to start with the MLB. The first game that happened last night was a matchup between the White Sox and the Royals. In this game, they fell short as the White Sox were able to put 11 runs on the Royals, eventually giving them the win. The White Sox center fielder, Luis Robert, would finish 4 for 6 with 2 runs and 2 RBIs on the night, especially while he hit his second home run of the season. Whit Merrifield for the Royals would finish 1 or 3 for 5 on the day. The Royals would put 15 hits up, and the White Sox would put up 21. But at the end of the day, the White Sox would reign victorious. Gio Gonzalez allowed no runs in his first 3.2 innings, striking out 6. Pretty good start for them. And with this, the White Sox are now sitting at 4-4, and the Kansas City Royals now fall to 3-6. Another AL Central matchup that happened was between the Twins and the Indians, and the Twins were able to get their 6th win of the season after shutting out the Indians 3-0 behind Kenta Maeda's only allowing 1 hit in 6 innings. He also struck out 6. Very impressive pitching performance on the night, as it helped give the Twins, especially La Bamba squad, the advantage here. And what's his name? Miguel Sano would finish with a 2-run home run that would eventually give the Twins the lead, and eventually their 6th win in 8 games. They're now sitting at 6-2 in the American League Central. And then looking out, the game between the Cincinnati Reds and the Detroit Tigers was postponed. So those are the 2 matchups that happened between the AL Central. Now moving to the National League Central, as you know, the St. Louis Cardinals and Milwaukee Brewers game has been postponed due to coronavirus concerns. But the Chicago Cubs did host the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they were able to get their 6th win of the season. They're now sitting at 6-2 after keeping the Pittsburgh Pirates from coming back, as they scored all 3 of their runs in the 9th inning in an attempt to try to come back and at least tie it, but they weren't able to. For the Chicago Cubs, their shortstop, Javi Baez, would finish 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. Additionally, Kyle Schwarber was able to drive in 2 runs as the Cubs were able to go up 4-3. Like I said, they tried to come back. Big performance from Tyler Chatwood, as he finished with 11 strikeouts in 6.2 innings pitched, only allowing 3 hits and walking 2 batters. And like I said, with this win, the Cubs now jump up to 6-2. And with this, I believe they have the sole lead over the NL Central by a good amount. Those are the Central. That's what's going on out in the Central. Now, as we move out west, the Los Angeles Angels hosted the Houston Astros, and they're able to get their 3rd win of the season, getting a go-ahead run in the 10th inning. Angels catcher Jason Castro would eventually drive in the run to tie in the game at the bottom of the 9th, and their subbed left fielder pinch hitter, Michael Hermosillo would get his first RBI of the season, giving the Angels their 3rd win, and they're now sitting at 3-6 as the Astros now fall to 4-4. Their second baseman, Jose Altuve, would finish 2 for 5 on the day with a strikeout. Their third baseman, Alex Bregman, would finish 1 for 4 with a walk. And like I said, the Astros just simply weren't enough. They were able to score 3 runs in the 9th to give them the lead over the Angels in the 9th, but the Angels were able to come back and win. But moving on to the rest of the American League West, the Oakland A's faced off against the Seattle Mariners in the 10th inning, but the Athletics this time were able to pull out the win, especially in the 10th, as the Oakland A's pinch hitter Robbie Grossman would eventually drive in the game-winning run in the 10th to give the Oakland A's the win. And with this, the A's now jump up to 4-4, and the Mariners slide to 4-5. They're now a game behind the Oakland A's. And the last team in the American League West, the Texas Rangers would go and face off against the San Francisco Giants, and they would go on to drop their fifth game in 7 attempts. They're now 2-5. As the Rangers were able to score, as the Rangers were able to beat them 7-3. They're able to score. No, they're able to they're able to disperse their runs all over. But long story short, after getting 2 runs in the first inning, the Texas Rangers the only other run they scored was in the 9th inning. Wasn't enough, and with this, the Giants are now sitting at 5-4 with a winning record in the National League West. At least scaring teams such as the Dodgers and the Padres. First, going to the Padres were able to pick up their 6th win of the season in Arizona as they beat the D-backs 11-2. They scored 8 runs combined in the 4th and 5th inning to give them the edge, and they just took over. Julio Urias would get his first win of the season as he allowed 2 earned runs and 5 hits in 6 innings while striking out 5. For the Dodgers, their right fielder Mookie Betts would finish 1 for 3 with a run. He also finished with a walk as well. And Cody Bellinger just simply wouldn't play. He wasn't in the lineup for the Dodgers today. But now the Dodgers jump up to 6-3, tied for the lead in the National League West with the Padres, who recently, last night, fell to the Rockies and now are sitting at 6-3. The Rockies are now 5-2 after beating them 6-1 after dropping 3 runs in the second. Their third baseman, Nolan Arenado, would finish 1 for 4 with a strikeout. But yet nothing too crazy from either side. Just really, really good pitching from both sides. The win went to Kyle Freeland, who allowed no runs in 6 innings while striking out 4, only allowing 2 hits. As the Padres' only run came in the 8th inning as they were basically shut out by the Rockies the entire game. And I think Kyle Freeland deserves a good amount of credit, but he was able to get his 2nd win of the season for them. And now the Rockies now jump up to 5-2, and I think they hold the lead with the Padres and the Dodgers in the National League West as of right now. But that's the West. Now, as we move on to what's going on in the Eastern divisions, the New York Yankees hosted the Boston Red Sox, and they are now 6-1 after beating them 5-2. They scored 4 runs in the second that would eventually give them the edge to where the Red Sox couldn't come back. Red Sox scored both their runs in the 3rd inning, but it just, like I said, it wasn't enough. Their right fielder, Aaron Judge, would finish 1 for 3 with his 4th solo home run, his 4th such game with one. Their shortstop, Gleyber Torres, would finish 0 for 4. Their designated hitter, Giancarlo Stanton, would finish 0 for 4 as well. And like I said, with this win, the Yankees have only lost 1 game in their first 7. And now they are tied for the league with the most wins. And now sitting at 6-1, they sit pretty comfortably over the rest. Additionally, the Baltimore Orioles hosted the Tampa Bay Rays, and they were able to win in the 11th inning as their pinch hitting shortstop, Pat Valaika, would eventually drive in the run that won the game. With this, the Orioles now jump up to 4-3 as the Rays now fall to 4-5. Pretty big game for both sides. It was a much needed win for Baltimore, and it was a much needed run to help keep them in the game. Also, the Phillies and the Blue Jays were postponed due to coronavirus concerns, so we're missing out on that. And in the National League East, we missed out on the Washington Nationals versus the Marlins because the Marlins are postponed. But the only National League East matchup that was to happen was between the Mets and the Braves. And the Braves would end up getting their 6th win of the season while dropping 7 runs on the Mets, only keeping them to 1. Touki Toussaint would allow no runs in his first start of the season, striking out 5 in 4 innings. Michael Walker would take the loss for the Mets. As Pete Alonso, their first baseman, would finish 1 for 5 on the day with 2 strikeouts. For the Braves, the right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr., would finish 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his first home run of the season last night. Braves second baseman Ozzie Albies finished 1 for 4 with an RBI. Their designated hitter, Freddie Freeman, would finish 0 for 2 with 2 walks and an eventual run. Their left fielder, Marcell Ozuna, would finish 2 for 4 with 2 more RBIs and a run as he was able to drive in. He was able to drive in his 3rd home run of the season. With this, the Braves are now sitting pretty comfortably atop the National League East, currently at 6-3. And now that it's Sunday, I'll just go over a little bit of the stats, show you guys what's going on, especially as we enter this part of the season. So as of right now, the current hits leader is Kyle Lewis, the center fielder for the Seattle Mariners, as he's 3 hits above. Has 3 more hits than second place. David Fletcher for the Angels, Corey Seager for the Dodgers, Donovan Solano for the San Francisco Giants, and Dansby Swanson for the Braves. Kyle Lewis has 16 hits, and he has a 444 batting average so far through 9 games for the Seattle Mariners. He's doing really, really well. Leading the league in runs, you have J.P. Crawford, the shortstop for the Seattle Mariners, Trent Grisham, the center fielder for the San Diego Padres, and Mike Yastrzemski for the San Francisco Giants, who lead the league with 10 runs. And right behind them, you have Freddie Freeman from the Braves, Dansby Swanson from the Braves with 9 runs apiece. Going into doubles, Christian Walker, the designated hitter for the Arizona Diamondbacks, currently leads the league in doubles with 5. Moving on to triples. Even though it's so far, only 2 players have more than 1 triple. J.P. Crawford, the shortstop from the Seattle Mariners, and Brandon Lau, the second baseman for the Tampa Bay Rays, both have 2 triples on the short season as they both have played 9 games. As of right now, Pittsburgh Pirates third baseman Colin Moran holds the sole lead over home runs with 5 on the season. Going to second place, you have Teoscar Hernandez, the center fielder for the Toronto Blue Jays, Aaron Judge, the elite right fielder for the New York Yankees, Trevor Story, the shortstop for the Colorado Rockies, and Christian Vasquez, the catcher for the Boston Red Sox, they're all runner-up for the home run lead with 4 home runs through their games. They all have played 7. Going to the RBI league lead, currently Donovan Solano, the second baseman for the San Francisco Giants, currently holds the outright lead for RBIs with 13. Nelson Cruz, the designated hitter for the Twins, and Dansby Swanson, the shortstop for the Atlanta Braves, they're the runners-up with 11 RBIs on the season. Also, Mike Yastrzemski is the center fielder for the Giants, has been walked the most times, been walked 11 times in 9 games. He holds the lead. It's strikeouts. Ronald Acuna Jr. for the Atlanta Braves has 3 more strikeouts than any other player in the MLB, as he has 18 strikeouts through 9 games, or he struck out 18 times through 9 games. Tommy Pham, the left fielder for the San Diego Padres, holds the stolen base lead as he has 5 stolen bases in 9 games. Just stuff like that. Moving on to the pitching side, as of right now, there are currently 13 pitchers that currently hold 2 wins in the league, so they are all tied for the lead. Out of the pitchers that have pitched over 10 innings, Shane Bieber for the Cleveland Indians and Lance Lynn for the Texas Rangers are the only 2 pitchers that have still allowed 0 runs thus far this season. They both have 0 ERAs in for the amount of innings they've pitched. So far, there have been 3 complete games, 1 from Garrett Cole of the Yankees, 1 from Kyle Hendricks of the Chicago Cubs, and 1 from Max Scherzer of the Washington Nationals. So far, the only full game shutout of the season has gone to Kyle Hendricks of the Chicago Cubs. Right now, leading the league in saves is Joe Jimenez, the closer for the Detroit Tigers, who has saved 4 games and 4 save opportunities, 4 for 4. And right now, those are the pitching stats, what's going on, especially with that. And that's the situation as it pertains to baseball. Now I'm going to transition it to basketball, as first off, the Miami Heat took on the Denver Nuggets in the bubble. I can't really say in Denver anymore. As the Heat were able to beat them by 20 pretty handily. Their power forward, Bam Adebayo, finished with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. As Jimmy Butler was to add 22 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists himself, 3 blocks. Jimmy Butler made 10 of his 11 free throws as they helped the Heat get a big win against the Nuggets. For the Nuggets, their center, Nikola Jokic, would finish the game with 19 points. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 1 for 5 from the 3-line. He finished with 7 rebounds and 6 assists as the Nuggets came up short. And as of right now, the Heat are currently sitting comfortably in the 4th spot in the East, a game and a half behind the Celtics, 2 games ahead of the Pacers with a 42-24 record. And with this loss, the Nuggets are still in third place. They're now 2 games behind the Los Angeles Clippers in an attempt to grab the second spot behind the Lakers. The Jazz are now a full game behind the Nuggets following this loss. And the Jazz, speaking of the Jazz, they lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder as the Thunder were able to get a 16-point win behind elite point guard Chris Paul's 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. Their shooting guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, would lead the team in points with 19, also adding in 6 assists and 3 steals. And looking towards the Jazz, their elite shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, would finish shooting 5 for 15 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3 as he finished with 13 points, a rebound, and 4 assists. And their center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, while shooting 5 for 6 from the field. As the Jazz dropped this game, they're now, like I said, 1 full game behind the Nuggets as they didn't take the full opportunity, they didn't take full advantage of the Nuggets' loss. And with this win, the Oklahoma City Thunder are now half a game behind the Jazz with a 41-24 record. Much needed win for the Thunder side, more so than Miami, but still really good win for both sides. The next game on ESPN was between the Los Angeles Clippers and the New Orleans Pelicans. There was a meme because like all the virtual fans left. I thought that was funny. But Zion Williamson, the elite forward for the Pelicans, he would finish playing 14 minutes, shooting 3 for 7 from the field as he finished with 7 points, 5 rebounds, and no assists on the night. Additionally, Brandon Ingram would finish with 14 points in 24 minutes. And on the Clippers side, Kawhi Leonard, their elite small forward, would only play 27 minutes, scoring 24 points, adding 6 rebounds and 5 assists, while making 10 of his 11 free throw attempts and shooting 6 for 16 from the field. Also, their elite wing, Paul George, would finish with 28 points. He shot 8 for 17 from the field. He shot 8 for 11 from 3, and he made 4 of his 5 free throw attempts. He's only made field goals with 3s. He finished with 3 rebounds and an assist, along with 3 steals to give the Clippers the win. And with this win, they're sitting 5.5 games behind the Lakers. And with the Nuggets' loss, they have created an extra game of separation, and now they're 2 games ahead of the Nuggets, while they're trying to claim this 2 spot. Additionally, for the Pittsburgh, the only game that didn't play on ESPN was between the 76ers and the Indiana Pacers, which was the game of the night. The Pacers were able to score 46 points in the fourth to give them the 127-121 win over the Philadelphia 76ers. For the Sixers, there's elite center Joel Embiid would finish with 41 points and 21 rebounds in regulation. He shot 15 for 23 from the field, 1 for 5 from the three-point line. He made 10 of his 12 free throw attempts, all while adding in 3 blocks. And Ben Simmons, their elite point guard, finished with 19 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 assists, shooting 8 for 14 from the field, 3 for 6 from the line, as they came up short to the Pacers, who were led by their small forward, TJ Warren, who would go on to drop 53 points. And of course, he gets my award for my performer of the night, but I'll get back to it in a bit. And with his 53 points, he shot 20 for 29 from the field. He shot 9 for 12 from the three-point line. He made 27 of his points came from threes. He shot 4 for 4 from the free throw line, adding in 4 rebounds and 3 assists and 2 blocks, helping them do so. Their point guard, Aaron Holiday, would also finish with 15 points and 10 assists. A big double-double for him as the Pacers were able to close it out at the very end, giving them the win over the Sixers. With this loss, the Sixers currently fall to the 6th spot in the East. They are now a full game behind the Pacers at 39-27. And with this win, the Indiana Pacers now have created a game of separation between them and the Sixers, and they're now sitting at 40-26. And as of right now, they're slated to play the Miami Heat instead of the Boston Celtics in the first round of the playoffs. And then the last game of the night was between the Los Angeles Lakers and the defending champs, the Toronto Raptors. And the Toronto Raptors were able to beat the Lakers handily, beating them by 15 and giving them a good game to give them at least a chance to catch up to the Bucks. For the Los Angeles Lakers, their elite small forward / point guard LeBron James would finish with 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 7 for 15 on the night. Their power forward, Anthony Davis, would finish with 14 points. He only made 2 field goals on the night, but he was 9 for 9 from the free throw line, also adding in 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks for the Lakers. For the Toronto Raptors, their point guard, Kyle Lowry, would finish with 33 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists as he shot 8 for 16 from the field, 5 for 9 from the three-point line, and 12 for 15 from the free throw line. Their elite power forward Pascal Siakam, which finished 5 for 17 from the field as he scored 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists in the Raptors' first game back. With this loss, the Lakers are still at the top of they're at the top of the West. They're 3.5 games worse than the Bucks for the best overall record, but they're still 5.5 games ahead of the Clippers. And they now have 6 games left. So I imagine that if they win this next game, they should be able to hold on to their lead of the West. They haven't clinched it as of yet. But with this win, technically the Raptors are still not out of it for the Eastern Conference as well. But this was a much needed win for them to get another game of separation. So now they are 4 games ahead of the third place Boston Celtics. So that's what happened with basketball last night. Of course, the biggest performer was TJ Warren, who dropped 53 last night and got the game clinching basket to put them over the top and have them beat a really, really good team and have them gain traction in the race and gave them a good amount of a lead over the Sixers in the East. It was a big win for the Pacers, and TJ Warren came up big. Now moving out to soccer, it's just one game, but in the English FA Cup, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang would score 2 goals to help Arsenal get the win over Chelsea, as American Christian Pulisic would score. He would be the first American to score a goal in the FA Cup, but he would leave early due to an injury. And also, hockey's back. First game that happened last night was between the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes in their first qualifier game. This one, the Carolina Hurricanes were able to squeak out the win 3-2 over the Rangers. But it was a big win for Carolina, and it gives them the advantage over the Rangers, especially in this Eastern Conference bubble. Additionally, the New York Islanders hosted the Florida Panthers, and they were able to beat them 2-1 in regulation. As Boulevouillet and Pagot, their center, were able to score the goals as the Islanders took over the Florida Panthers, and they now lead their series 1-0. Last Eastern Conference matchup of the night that happened was between the Montreal Canadiens and the Pittsburgh Penguins, as the Montreal Canadiens were able to get the first win of the series as they scored a game-winning goal in overtime to give them the edge over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jeff Petrie would be the player to get the game-winning goal in overtime. And with this, like I said, the Canadiens now jump up with a 1-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby would score a goal for the Penguins in the second period, but it wouldn't be enough. And also, now as we shift over to what's going on in the Western bubble, the Edmonton Oilers faced off against the Chicago Blackhawks in the highest scoring game of the night. As the Blackhawks beat them 6-4. They scored 4 goals in the first, 2 in the second. Edmonton couldn't come back, but it was a pretty good game. Well fought side by both. Edmonton Oilers center Connor McDavid would go on to score a goal and register 3 assists as he was a part of every scoring play for the Edmonton Oilers. Starting off as he started off for them. Jonathan Toews would put on 2 goals for the Chicago Blackhawks, one of which was in the power play. And Dominik Kubalik was able to score 2 power play goals in the second period to give the Blackhawks the 1-0 edge over the Edmonton Oilers. In the last game of the night that happened in the NHL happened between the Calgary Flames and the Winnipeg Jets. The Calgary Flames were able to score 3 goals in the second inning as they were able to put away the Winnipeg Jets, at least for this first game. And now that's what everything's looking like, especially with every sport. Just to give you a heads up for what's going on today, looking out first in the NBA before I move to the MLB. Because it is Sunday, there's going to be some early games. The first game that happens between the Wizards and the Nets. The first primetime game is going to be on ABC between the Trailblazers and the Celtics as we see this 3-star matchup between Damian Lillard and the Trailblazers and Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, and the Boston Celtics. Other big games today at 8:30 on ESPN. You'll catch a 7-point game between Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks as they take on James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and the Houston Rockets. And the last game of the night, you'll see a 4-star matchup as Luka Doncic and the Mavericks take on Devin Booker and the Suns. All big games here. That's what I'm going to be looking forward to, especially when it comes to basketball big games, especially following last night or yesterday And then moving out to baseball, just looking at some of the big performances, the big matchups. The Braves face off against the Mets at 110 as David Peterson's going to face off against Kyle Wright. Additionally, John Lester's going to make his second start for the Cubs as they face off against Steven Brault in the Pittsburgh Pirates. Additionally, Jeff Samard is going to make his second start for the Giants as they face off against Colby Allard and the Texas Rangers. Clayton Kershaw will make his first start against Merrill Kelly as the Los Angeles Dodgers take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Shohei Ohtani will make his second start as he was unable to unable to log in out. He's going to do so he's going to try to make another start against Josh James and the Houston Astros. The Boston Red Sox will face off against the New York Yankees on ESPN tonight as Austin Bryce will face off against James Paxton. And due to COVID-19, the Nationals and Marlins game will get postponed. The Cardinals and the Brewers game will be postponed. And the Philadelphia Phillies and the Blue Jays game, they will be postponed as well. Moving out to soccer, I'm not sure if any big games are happening. I do know that it's the last day of the year for Serie A. And last but not least, checking into the hockey bubble, you have the Coyotes facing off against the Predators in the West qualifying Game 1 on USA. On NBC at 3 o'clock, the Philadelphia Flyers face off against the Boston Bruins on NBC. Very, very big matchup. The St. Louis Blues, the reigning champs, are going to face off against the Colorado Avalanche. That's going to be a very big game as Nathan McKinnon faces off against this very, very strong Blues team. Also, in the last game of the night on NBC Sports Network, you'll see the Minnesota Wild face off against the Vancouver Canucks in their West qualifying Game 1. With that said, that's everything that's basically going on with sports today. And if you get a chance, just check it out for yourself. And thanks for hearing me out. And I wish everyone the best of luck with everything going on, especially with COVID. Peace out.